Why I won't be having kids in this life. A lot of us, man, I think when we think of kids, we think of all the positives, right? Oh, it's going to be a big family. We're going to be loving. We're going to be Dovey, me and my wife, and the three kids, or the two kids, or five kids. And the dog is going to be running around. But to me, like the reason I won't have kids is because I kind of realized, excuse me, it's kind of, I realized that this world is not really a good place for kids. There's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of problems. People are getting cancer, people are dying, people are getting killed, there's wars going on, people are starving to death. And then people always say, oh, yeah, but those are the extremes, there's positives, look on the good side, look on the good side. But I feel like the most selfish thing you can do is have kids. And people always ask me, like, what if you're rich? What are you rich if you would have kids? I'm like, no, still, because I think in this life, like, as we all know, as we're living the experience right now, it's just so much problems, right? Even if you're rich, are you going to find love? Are you not going to find love? Are you going to be happy? Are you not going to be happy? Because even a lot of rich people, they commit, they off themselves. So it's not just about having money, but maybe you're like, oh, but maybe they didn't have like loving parents or loving siblings or loving friends. Maybe, perhaps. But I just see it like I don't want to go through with that, and I don't want to go put someone through that because I never had a choice to be brought into this life. So I shouldn't be bringing life into this life. You know what I mean? And also, too, when you look at life, we're really overpopulated as a species, right? In the last 100 years, we went up by like 6 billion in population. And it doesn't mean we were having more kids. It means like obviously we were having like scientific breakthroughs, technology, right? We were making vaccines and more food, so people died less, right? But I just saw, like, when I look at the world, it's just endless chaos. Now, obviously, people choose to like ignore the wars happening in the world, and obviously, I'm from Canada, so it doesn't matter to me. But I still think about that. These are human beings that are going through all this, all that, for what, right? They're suffering for what? And obviously, I try not to think about it because it makes me suffer and have mental health problems. Just knowing that there's bombs flying over someone's house, like as we're speaking, and people are literally dying and starving to that. It's really heartbreaking. Um, so when I look at all this, I'm like, really don't want to have kids. Especially too with this economy. It doesn't make any sense. Like I told myself, if I was rich, rich, and I lived in like a warm area, because I live in a cold place, right? Maybe I could see myself having one kid, but the reason I wouldn't is just because the way the world is going to right now with all this AI, it just seems like this is not a good place to bring in kids. Because I'm 27 this year, and we kind of grew up a little bit without the phones and all the social media stuff, and I feel like now there's no love for humanity. It's just chaos. It's just a bunch of chaos running around, bunch of chaos happening. I don't think there's love for humanity anymore. Excuse me. People don't love each other anymore like they used to, right? I mean, you can't blame people. You can just go to like this magical world called Instagram and TikTok and lose yourself, in Netflix and YouTube. So you don't really have to connect with people anymore. Not saying all these things are bad. Like, I mean, they did bring a lot of great stuff. I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, but I just saw like there isn't like this magical human connection anymore. And especially what's going on with what the elites are doing too. It's just making everything expensive and hard for everyone. I just saw like this isn't a good place, and all this killing and stuff like that going on. But I don't blame people for having kids. I can understand if your circumstances are great, but if they're not, then you know. And what I realized too, a lot of people have kids to fill the void. Most of us, right? If we're gonna be honest, do it to fill the void. But I think some people, they have good lives and they just like, I want to have kids to have like an even better life. And I feel like, you know what I mean? That's not right to be bringing people into this life. But for me, what crossed my mind that I wouldn't have kids, especially in my situation, what's going on with all this, the ringleaders and what they're doing with us. And I just feel like this isn't a good place to bring kids and let them suffer because I need to go play daddy daycare for 20 years, and I need to feel like I need to fill a void. I mean, if you need to fill a void, join the basketball team or go outside, you know, get some activities done or hit the gym or something, I need something, or travel or move to next cities. But yeah, I just feel like a lot of people have these kids just to like fill voids and stuff like that. And I told myself I don't really want to do all that. And then, when you kind of look at what the life is now, it's kind of all the same stuff going back and forth. You go to school, they brainwash you there. As I grew older, like I'm really realizing how brainwashed we really are as a species. And they go to school, then they go to high school, then college, and then they gotta work and this, and it's like, why bring someone in here just to work their whole lives? If the system wasn't built like as it was now, honestly, I would have kids. If there was no poverty, if there was no killing, it was no this, there was no that, man, I would want to have kids, like two, three kids. I'm not lying. I kind of want to be a father sometimes. But the world, unfortunately, is not like that. There's a lot of racism. There's a lot of killing. Like, people are scared to go at nighttime. They're like, avoid this area, avoid that area. And then when you ask people, they're like, well, that's life. No, 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 no. It's just how our species is. Unfortunately, my friend asked me, do you think wars will ever end? I said, no. He's like, do everything will come to a point in our lives? I said, no. I said, why? Because people are different. There's always going to be someone that wants to have the power over everyone, or someone's going to be scared that this person's going to take me out, so I have to take them out. Even if you think about it, like ideally, even if someone were to conquer the whole world and make it one language and one race, not one race, but like one language, and everyone's like, it's one country, there would still be wars going on, right? Because people want to like overpower that other person to get that position. So it's kind of like that. But if there was like a ruler, like who was fair and benevolent to everyone and was equal to everyone, I mean, why not have kids? You know. But when I just see the state of the world and what's going on, especially me, I'm not a rich person. I'm like, there's no point of having kids. I might as well just live my life and just enjoy it to the best of my abilities. You know, it's unfortunate what's going on in the world. But I think a lot of people just need to wake up and realize like it's time to start having kids. And if you do, no more than two, especially not more than one. But if you really want to get crazy, no more than two, right? People that are popping more than two kids, I mean, they're kind of just losing their minds. I mean, if you have the money, you have the money. That's better because the kids are in a better situation. They don't need to suffer. They don't need to starve, or they need to like work like this or stress. Am I gonna go homeless, or what about the bills, or I can't get that car, can I get this? Because I'm not really a materialistic person, but as people, we want things. We want to like drive a nice car, wear nice clothes, and do nice things. And there's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't mean you're a bad person, right? It's just you're just human. But I never really cared too much for that. But I do stress a lot, like financially. Oh my god, like what's gonna happen this, what's gonna happen that. So I feel like I wouldn't want to put that on my son, especially the world with this AI. Is there gonna be jobs? This is not. Are they gonna kill us later with a vaccine? Are they not? Are they gonna bring a virus? Because if they have AI, they don't really need us anymore. Um, but I just couldn't bring myself to it, and I just said, what, I don't want to do that. I don't really want to do that. I love myself too much, and I love my son and daughter too much to bring them into this world with so much chaos, so much racism, so much killing. I gotta worry, they're going out nighttime, someone's going to be drinking, driving, killing them, like someone hits them or someone kills them. It's a lot of worrying, right? If you ask any parents, like there's a lot of worry. There's a lot of worry, right? And there's no point of doing that for yourself, especially when you're burdened with financial issues and this. And it's like it's going to be overload. And there's a lot of people that have kids and they regret it later, and I don't want to be one of those people. And I think that's really irresponsible because now you brought these kids into this life and now you have to take care of them. And that's why this world is such a messed up place, because it's due to parenting, right? Abuse from the parents, emotional manipulation, not giving them love. And then when they get older, they cause problems outside for society, for people like me and you. So I wouldn't want to be doing stuff like that. Obviously, if I have kids, I'm going to raise them really excellent. But I just feel like financially, and even then, if like let's just say I won the lottery, um I just feel like it's not a place like, they'll see me die or I might see them die. I just feel like it's not really a place for all that. But you know, but that's just my take. I'm not saying have kids or not have kids. This isn't me opposing on anyone. I just want to share my views on that. Why I wouldn't. But yeah. But I do want to end up getting married and having like a partner, a companion, because I feel like you do need someone at the end of the day, whether we want to be honest or not. Because obviously we're social creatures, we get lonely. So I just told myself I want to see myself get married. But in terms of having kids, that's a big responsibility. And the way the world is, I wouldn't want to be doing that. I'm already enslaved to the system. I don't want to be enslaved more. But that's it for this one, guys.